Hi everyone. Thank you for watching. By law, I have to tell you that this is for entertainment purposes only. All videos are property of Psychic Liz Cross, LLC. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm here with the amazing psychic Liz Cross. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. I remember seeing this somewhere. Tell us about it.
Well, this video has gone viral on TikTok. I think it has like 18 to 20 million views. Sarah Gilson on the left was a TikTok influencer who's into fashion and she believes she was a hairdresser as well. And she made a viral video just before she passed away saying that preparing for when Netflix drops a documentary about my soon to be ex-husband, who I just found out is a pedophile. And that's him on the right there. Sorry. I think about a week or two after she created this video, she was shot dead by her former husband, Sean Duffy, in a murder suicide. So, I mean, the speculation obviously is that she was going to reveal something further about this. And, well, I all know what happened there. So, yeah, it's a very sad story. She leaves two children behind and a lot of questions for everybody of what's happened here. So what did happen? Sarah Gilson was found dead in an apartment, murder suicide, after accusing her husband on TikTok. Her estranged husband Jeremiah shot and killed her in her Oklahoma home on July 23rd. And I'm not sure, but I read in one of the police reports that there was a child that called the police from the residence. So I don't know if that was her child or somebody else's child or if that's even true, but that's what I read. And that's pretty much what we know so far. As far as there's been a restraining order, or sorry, a protective order. I'm not sure if that's the same thing that was put out by her on her ex-husband on July 10th. So a few weeks before this incident happened. And we do know now from police reports that there was another protective order put on her husband from a mother of a child who was under the care of this person because he was a high school basketball coach. So there were some complaints about him, the mother, over her daughter. So we do know that there's evidence of something going on there. Do you want to bring the both of them in?
Yeah, I've got her standing here and I have him standing here as well.
So let's ask her, what was really going on there? Was she about to reveal something bigger before this incident happened?
Yeah, she was going to reveal that her husband was a pedophile.
Okay. And was this over the protective order that was put on by the mother of the girl that was under his care and the high school basketball team?
There was more than that.
Okay.
There was more than that. She went into his internet history and she found overwhelming evidence of him talking to children and grooming children online.
Wow. Now, is this
Hmm.
something that she found out like recently, or is this something that she'd known about for a long time?
I mean, she knew about it for a while. She always knew something was wrong. Do you believe he touched her? She believes he touched her kids as well.
Oh no. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. I also read that she had previous like restraining orders against him in the past, but she failed to show up to court. This is like way back years ago. They never actually got put on. So there was some evidence there that there was a history of something else going on as well.
Let's ask, was there a history of, yeah, there was a history of explosive rage.
Okay.
Okay, that's very typical of a narcissist about to be exposed. Okay, that's what they do. When you know, when you're a narcissist or you make an accusation to a narcissist, they fly into a rage to try to control the situation. And it's there's a saying, they fly into a rage over something they absolutely did, right? That's how you know they're guilty, because they fly into a rage. Now, psychologically, they want the victim to think, how dare you accuse me of this and that? So now I'm flying into a rage, and usually that shuts the victim down. Was he abusive to you? Very abusive. And was he did he physically hurt her? Yes, he did a few times, especially when he would grab her around the wrists and the arm area. and he become violent. He definitely would go into these wild, mad rages, throwing things. He had a gun, which we now know, but she's showing me like he would get a gun and threaten to kill himself. Listen, people, right out of the narcissist playbook, right there. Okay.
But would she
Because
say that the people around knew about this side of him, or was it like a narcissist kind of kept within the household out of the view of other people?
no, this out of view of other people. And of course, you know what narcissists do. And how do you know so much, Liz? Because I have done so many CTT sessions with victims of narcissistic abuse, right? And so, being married to her was just a cover up. If you're married to a narcissist, it's usually to cover up their something that they're hiding in the background. So being married to her makes him look good. It makes him look like he's the average family man, that he's capable of having, obviously, she's very pretty, that he's capable of having this pretty girl on his arm. So he must be doing something right. It's about judgment from others and being able to hide this dark personality of himself. He would threaten to unalive himself all the time. Even in front of the kids, he would terrify the kids, terrorize kids. Yeah, it's bad news all the way around. And at least TikTok gave her a voice. It gave her an outlet, is what she's telling me. um, it allowed her to maintain some of her freedom. He was highly controlling of everything she did. And, he hated the TikTok. But then he thought at some level, it scrutiny off of him. It gave her something to do, and it the scrutiny off of him so he could continue his terrible behavior. These types of behaviors are progressive in nature, these compulsions. So they can control them. They're always pushing the boundary. That's why, in an ideal world, eventually they get caught because they can these boundaries and they think they're entitled to do so, the compulsive behavior, and also they you think, anything's going to happen to them because they've pushed so many boundaries before. They think they're clever. They think they can outsmart smart law enforcement and others around them, which is exactly what he was doing. He wasn't ever going to stop his behavior. He cannot stop his behavior, or
Hmm.
he could not.
Right. And so what led up to her actually finally speaking out about this? I mean, had she tried before, or was this the first time?
No, she had tried before, but really it's when she went through that internet history after the allegations were made. That's when she found all the evidence. Now, he didn't know she found the evidence. That was all going to be exposed. She had like screenshots and all that of his behavior online, and that's how she was going to expose it. Now, right or wrong, no judgment here, but it was going to, she was going to use it to her advantage. It wasn't exposing him, find a place of safety away from him. She was going to use it to gain more attention, more subscribers, more followers, because that's just who she was. That was her business style. And then she had planned to sort of turn herself into some sort of, in an ideal world, she's showing me like a Nancy Grace type figure where she's now chasing and hunting down these pedophiles, right? That was going to be her new role. And that would have made her extremely popular, even more so than what she was. And did he know that you were going to do that? Yeah, because he knew she was going to do that. Now, his life was going to be destroyed anyway through the allegations and investigation. But this would completely demolish him, to have him exposed like this to millions of people.
Right.
And he
I-
wanted to put an end to it. I mean, this is what narcissists do. They work their entire lives to cover up their bad behavior, their secret lives. And that's you start exposing them, you better look out because you are in danger when you start exposing people for who they are, depending upon the severity of what they're doing. It's a dangerous game to play.
So was she, ever under threat before about this stuff, like to coming forward? Like I'm assuming she didn't show up to her previous court date for the restraining order because she felt threatened by him. That's what I would assume.
Well, no, was it because no, it wasn't because she felt threatened by him. It was because she kind of, she was the type of person before that would bury her head in the sand over matters, like I don't want to confront it. I just can't. That's who she was. And so by going to court, that would have made it very real.
Right.
Look at
Okay.
this guy. You can look in his eyes and tell he's hiding something.
Yeah, well, yeah. So how far? Okay, so what kind of? I mean, he's obviously in a job where he's trusted with children, right? I'm not sure if it was anything more than that. I've read that he was a high school basketball coach, women's coach. So does he have an extensive history of this, or is this like a new thing that he was doing, or are there a
No,
lot
he
of?
has history.
Okay, all right, and. Well, I mean, what's it? I know these are hard questions to ask, but I mean, obviously, looking back from now the spirit world, they in the same soul family? Are they? What's the relationship there in the afterlife?
As they're standing here from one another, she really says this is a wake-up call. They are soulmates. They are now there's this karmic retribution, right? And this karmic loop. And she's like, how do I get out of this? Because I don't want to make a soul contract with him ever again. He is not ideal to be in contracts with. Kind of like been there, done that. I need to move on. I don't want to keep doing this cyclical, loop of killing and, whatever. Because he hasn't his issue. He hasn't, you know, if they stayed on the earth plane, the ideal situation would be she moves on, she gets healed, she heals from this. How did I get into this situation? Because before we hit the record button, I said to you, like her energy field attracts these perverts in, right?
Yeah,
She had been dealing with this her whole life, like people touching her inappropriately, making lewd comments, even when she was younger. She
right.
had major problems with males, overstepping boundaries and having very inappropriate behavior, even as she's telling me, teachers and people that have gained the trust of the community.
So let's ask this then. When she first got into a relationship with this guy, were there red flags there for her to see that where maybe she was blinded by because of that energy field that she has?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But see, TikTok was her outlet to heal, to realize I am a strong person. I am a beautiful person. All of these inappropriate behaviors that happened to me when I was younger, I now realize that they were wrong. A lot of times people used to just, what she's telling me, put it down to, well, that's just men for you, right? But as we're moving forward in time, I think what she says, women are realizing that these are now categorized,
Right.
and it's not okay to touch our kids, right? But back in the day, she had a lot of that. I mean, she's a very pretty girl. Still is as she's standing here. She's beautiful and she has a really good heart and really good energy. And even now he's trying to make more soul contracts with her. And she's like, no, I want to. And then this is where we have the advisors stepping in saying, well, actually, yeah, because you have to resolve this karma, so you have to go back into these soul contracts. Now, I know I'm plugging the CTT group all the time, but we figured a way to surefire get rid of these soul contracts with people that we don't want anymore. I'm not going to go into the explanations of it, but we have only just in the last couple weeks figured out a way. And she's like, I'm definitely wanting to pursue that that way of dumping him on a soul level because it's going nowhere. She had her whole life ahead of her. Yes, they signed up to this contract, but now she realizes she didn't the assumption of consciousness on a soul level of how strong she was going to be through the outlet of TikTok. So now she regrets that contract because she says I could have done so much more, but yeah, she signed up to that.
So will she be signing contracts for them to continue this karmic back and forth?
Yeah, if he can't figure out a way, now I'm going to send her to George, but she doesn't figure out a way to get away from this soul contract
Right.
because he's not resolved anything either. I mean, the reality is he could have gone on and done some serious psychotherapy, maybe got on some medication, and learned to control his behaviors and learned that, what he was doing is not right. I mean, they know it's not right. They know it's against the law. I mean, it's not like they don't know that, but
Now,
still the compulsions are too strong.
what about his past? What led him to become this person? Was there any trauma in this lifetime or was it from a previous lifetime?
It's definitely from it's like I want to be something in this lifetime. So he had set out, I want to be recognized, I want to be appreciated, I want to be admired. And this is about the community level, right? I want people to think I'm wonderful, but the way he went about it came at a cost. Like he doesn't have enough positive energy, certainly for the contracts that he was pursuing, in order to just be this good, caring pillar of the community that would, see it through without any darkness to those contracts. But unfortunately, he's plagued by darkness. So he had to have, yeah, you can do this, but here's your element of darkness. And he was hoping, he had also made an assumption of consciousness that he could maintain his status in the community and he would have overcome this compulsive behavior. You see, these souls, they underestimate things all the time. And he was never able to overcome that compulsive behavior. He was abused severely when he was a child by other children. And that's where this really, it turned a switch on somewhere. Sorry, it just never stopped.
So for both of them, they've been inside a karmic cycle. So this is not the first time that they've had something severe like this happen back and forth to each other.
I mean, he's unalived her in previous lifetimes, yes. She's always like the subservient victim. I mean, remember going back in past lives, women did not have a lot of choices. They had to rely on their husbands financially. No, he had killed her in a lot of previous lifetimes.
And how does this karmic loop start? Is there like a general pattern for most of it? Because we come across this all the time when we view these sorts of incidents.
So back in the day when they were extremely naive souls, somebody up in the spirit world gave them the idea that this was an option to pursue. And they, very innocently pursued it. And now this is a cycle that they can't seem to get out of.
So is that an advisor in the spirit world?
Yes.
Is that advisor liable at all? Is there any liability there?
No.
That's not very fair. So how
Well,
did,
now, sorry, if you remember though, we did a whole CTT session on holding these advisors accountable. and we're going to continue to do a workshop out in the future on getting compensation from the spirit world for
And
all the bad advice that we've received in this lifetime and previous lifetimes from these advisors who end up getting us stuck in these karmic loops that we can't get out of because right now there's no accountability up there. But by maybe installing some sort of compensation and demanding it and continuing to work on that, we start making others accountable up there. We start to put this accountability to these advisors because don't forget, and I've said this before, don't forget a lot of these advisors have not even had human lifetimes.
so, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, we do have a modality called the consciousness transformation technique, and it's a way to transmute negative energy, way to deal with trauma, and not at a surface level, which most modalities do. We meet every week with our group, with our members, and we go through these different investigations of things like this. And of course, we're always looking for new ways to basically elevate ourselves energetically and release what we need to release. So we do invite you as well to become a member with us, and we meet every Monday morning. And we also have a CTT channel, which I can link to maybe at the end of this video as well, if you want to check out the previous videos of what we do. Those are free, of course, on our CTT channel. But I'm also wondering about where this goes in terms of, do they ever break this karmic cycle, or does this just kind of keep going?
She is determined to break it.
So would it
Um,
happen this time, or are they going to have to do it how many more times?
So as she's talking to me right now, she's determined to break it. She does not want to enter back into this soul contract. She says takes as long as it takes, but as we know from a lot of probing around and channeling up there in the spirit world, you're not allowed to just stay up there indefinitely if you haven't completed the ascension process. Your hourglass sand timer usually starts to run out. And that's when these souls start picking, oh, give me this and give me, okay, you got, 10 days to figure it out. Because in 10 days, you're going back down there. So either you figure it out or the advisors are going to make the plan for you, right? And then, oh, give me this, give me that. Okay. You can't waste time up there.
Right. So will she eventually find a new soul family?
She wants to. She certainly wants to as we check in with her today.
Well, I think that's all the questions that I have. Is there anything else that you wanted to ask before we go, Liz?
Did you ever feel that he could harm you in this way? Yes. She's saying there were warning signs there. She partially, thought that she would be protected by getting these orders in place. But you see, this is where you're failed by the police. Okay. I'm sorry. I know. A lot of times people think just by having a protective order that the other person is going to adhere to that and think of it as equally as important to the victim. But B, you don't have a police officer standing on your door, right?
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people stay in these situations. I mean, I'm not saying she stayed in the situation, but they become so dependent upon the other person. A lot of times they can't leave financially. They'll end up homeless, like living out of a car. They have no protection. We definitely need a lot more domestic violence safe houses in place for domestic violence victims. She wasn't so much worried about that. She did think that he had the propensity to be extremely violent, but she really did not anticipate what had happened with her conscious mind.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's a sad story, and we bid them farewell, and we'll see you guys next time on the next video.
But thank you, Mr. Photon, for putting this together. It's a shame. It's all a big shame. But I'm gonna say my classic domestic violence line. If you don't leave them, they will kill you. There's two ways out of a domestic violence relationship. I mean, obviously she tried to leave, so we can't really categorize her in that. But people that are sticking around now because you think maybe it's going to get better, or they won't go further than what they're doing. Please think about that. Get some outside support if you can.
All right. Thanks very much, everybody.